Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream or drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. You lost your best friend, shit's got you stressing. Wanna find a fool who did it, cock back your weapon. Don't wanna look to the church for confessions. If you kill him, you can end up in correction. Some look for the needles and drugs for injection. When I lost Caesar, I was ready for the action. This shit hurts hard, and it really did. But you gotta let the pain go, and that's how you live. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my stories. Falling in love may be easy to some of y'all, but some people in this world have downfalls. Been in love so many times, their heart got lockjaw. Mention the word love, pause, then the tears start to crawl down their face fast like Niagara Falls. Feeling you had them messed up like prank calls. Why it gotta be so damn hard trying to find the right one? Set your standards high and get this like an M. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. Phone bill is due, rent and cars too. By the end of the month and you got no food. Mom at home first and dad can't go to work. That's only if you had a dad. Imagine that hurt. 4 kids in one house, one mom and no spouse. Not enough room and family sleep on the couch. You don't know why and you looking for an answer. Just found out grandpa got cancer. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pains of life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain in life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story.
Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are
Oh my
you?
gosh, I am great. How are you doing today? Oh yeah, everybody, welcome back to Black Conscious Convo. This is Loving in Color in Colorado, the podcast. I am one half of this great dynamic duo, Chris Lucas Diggins, and my co-host Queen,
How you guys
aka
doing?
Talisa Hawkins. How are you doing today, Queen?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Well, I'm doing super excellent because I'm not even gonna lie to you. I am running the show from a Mac now. I,
Mm.
I don't know if you noticed there weren't any issues.
Doesn't seem like it. No, you are a little low. If you could turn your mic up a bit.
I'm a little bit low. Okay, not a problem. We can do that. How about that?
Perfect.
Look, see, and it should be that simple. Honestly, it should just be that simple. Um, Yes, I am happy because of that one thing. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I was a Mac fan for so long and drifted away for dubious reasons. But I'm just glad to be back on a Mac. PC, I think the companies that create the operating systems should be making their PCs. So I'm glad Microsoft is making their own PCs, and I'm glad Google is making their own PCs because the people that you have licensed to make your PCs for you suck. That's just me. How are you doing today, Queen?
I'm doing good. I was a little tired today, maybe because it's hump day in the middle of the week, so
Oh yeah,
I
happy
like had
hump
to
day.
take some naps before my meetings in the afternoon. So I'm just now waking up again. Like, yeah.
Look, um, I am just like honestly, I am energized and motivated. I have so much literature that was delivered to me. Um, I have a bookcase now. I am so grateful and thankful to be able to grow.
Me too. And we're only going to continue to do better and get bigger. What are you smoking today?
Look, there you go. I am smoking on some cake mix from Snacksland
Ooh.
from Golden's Meds, as you already know. Everybody go check out your Golden Meds. All you have to do is put in Golden Med dispensary near me in your search engine and it'll bring it up on the maps. Um that's what I'm smoking on. It's 28% THC right now.
Ooh.
Yes. What are you smoking, Queen?
I am still smoking some of this Blue Nebula. I'm really enjoying it from the Cosmos brand. It's testing at 23%. So, yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We had a meeting this week and we talked about clarifying our agenda. And we want to let people know that at the end of the day, our show is about helping you. If our conversation or your conversation helps you to release something or get something out into the air that needs to be discussed when it comes to loving in color in Colorado or America, talk to us,
Mm-hmm.
join us, because you are what this is about. It is not if we were doing this for selfish reasons, we would one not be spending our own money and time. Right? I don't know if
Right.
your time is precious. I believe that hourly you are definitely $100,000 lady.
This is very much so true, y'all.
Right?
I could
So
charge that for my time if I wanted to work back in corporate America.
and that's what I'm saying. And I totally would understand that. And that's what we just want people to know. This is not for personal gain or anything like that. Personal gain is something like for me is me growing with my audience. Like I'm starting this new workout program. I'm going to start sharing myself more and I would like for people to join me. I would like to hear your stories of what you're going through that keeps you from going to the gym on a day-to-day basis, especially in your 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my little spew for today. What about you? What are you watching and what did you think about our meeting?
Our meeting was great. We had Really great conversations. You guys, we have to be careful about being on the phone during the week because we'll just talk through all the topics we got to talk to through on the phone and we'll
For
miss
real.
out on talking about them on the show.
For real.
We'll be talking.
And I love talking with you, like in general. Like, I, there's not a conversation that I have with you where I go, oh my God, there's nothing gonna be beneficial from this conversation. Or, you know what I mean? Like, when you want to rush off the phone with people because there's nothing there and there's no substance. I just, I just like being on the phone with
Hmm. Same. And so that is definitely what was present during our meeting. As far as like what I'm watching, I guess I just was watching What If you guys are not watching it, What If is the cartoon series that Disney Plus has put out about all of our favorite Marvel characters, but it's just a spin-off. Like, what if Captain America was a woman? What if
you. Tell me that one
T'Challa
wasn't
was.
brilliant.
Yeah, and so I just finished the fifth episode, and oh my god, it was so good. But
I
I
know,
love
right?
zombies,
It was
so
deep though. Tell me that wasn't deep though, and that was my whole point in the storytelling for the brand.
mm,
Did you see how he went from hero to villain, and how he needed a guide to help him understand his villainous ways, and then the multiverse having so many of him.
are you talking about the Doctor Strange episode?
Yes.
Yeah, that one last week was intense.
Oh, you're talking about this week, the newest one.
Yeah, I
I
just
did
watched it.
not watch it yet. Oh my gosh. We need to talk
It's,
about it today. What I
yeah,
just
definitely check it out. It's amazing. It's my favorite episode of the season so far.
okay, yeah, cuz we I don't do spoilers.
I will do them in a certain time frame. Like the new episode just dropped last night, so like it's hard for everybody to watch it in that amount of time. So I'm not gonna like spoil it right away. But by next weekend or a couple of days from now, yes.
Oh my gosh. Um I am look, you just made me hyped up for what I'm about to do while I eat dinner before I start my little evenings.
Okay, yeah, do it because that episode's super awesome. I'm super excited. Can't wait for the next one. And then yeah, can't wait for American Horror Stories tomorrow. I've been count down the days because you think the episode comes out on like Tuesday or Monday or Sunday, and then it doesn't. And you find out actually it's on Thursday. And you're like, man, I gotta wait all the way to the end of the week.
And see, like this week for me, I have been like trying to read more than to be watching TV. So if I'm watching TV, I have to be specific, like chess, on what I'm watching right now. Only because, like I said, I'm focusing on growing. Oh, excuse me, and I keep saying this. The universe has a way of telling me when I am fucking up and not focusing on self. I know the universe is happy with when it comes to what we do every week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's nothing about what we're doing, the universe doesn't go, you know what, this is not gonna work. You need to fix this because I'm not stressing out, or you know what I mean. Like everything just feels natural. Like I'm loving the hard work that I have to do for the show, and it's great. And not even just for the show, just for me to grow. And that's something that I'm grateful for. Like I said, I'm just wow, like that's where I'm at. right now, today. We don't know about tomorrow, but today. I've been this way all day.
That's good. So tell us about today's topic. What are we talking about?
Well, this is part two to our sexual assault conversation.
Trigger warning is officially enacted.
Yes, once again, we are talking sexual assault because this subject in general is one of the biggest issues in males and females' lives, hindering spectacular and amazing growth because hope and destruction were because hope was replaced by destruction, where love was replaced by lust. These things need to be addressed from male to female to child to adult. These conversations are extremely, extremely necessary. So we were in the midst of, or I don't know how to use that word correctly. Let me say, we were starting in on the conversation of females and sexual assault or child molestation. Another statistic before we jump into this. The last one I gave was the 81%. Um, One in three female victims of completed or attempted rape experienced this first time between the ages of 11 and 17 was where we stopped, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, this is just dramatic. Um, okay. Almost one in four undergraduate women experience sexual assault or misconduct at 33 of of the nation's major universities.
Mhm.
You stated you had a situation when you were 9.
Yep.
You
It
were
was.
in you were innocent at the time. Yeah, there are things that kids do, right?
Mhm.
I knew that I was a bad kid at 9. But that was because that was what I was trying to do. Once again, I was trying to get an answer for something. I don't know your situation.
Right.
For me, I remember everyone around me at my age was just innocent, trying to live and be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a kid. I was 9, but I was the oldest, so I already had responsibilities by that time, make sure that the house is clean or make sure that I made dinner sometimes or that I had my sisters and brothers in bed on time and I was in bed on time. I had those types of responsibilities growing up. And so I naturally, did those things. I was naturally a pretty good kid. My mom will tell you I was never one, like, if she went to look for me, she would find me in the bed sleep. And taking a nap, not like in the cabinet getting into something, like some babies when you can't find them, it's too quiet. You like, up, what they into? They into something.
Like where, what city, state, where's this at?
Oh, so I grew, I traveled a lot. I think we talked about that. I lived in like when I counted, I feel like it was about 28, 29 different places that I've
Military days,
traveled
right?
to. Yeah, here in the state. But this was in Florida. This was during one of the times that I was living in Florida with my mom. We had our own place. And I don't know where or what happened. I just know that when I came home from school that day, my mom was already gone. And so she had just left a note like I had to go to the babysitter's house. My sisters were already over there. So I just was like, oh, I've been over that babysitter's house before. So I wasn't surprised. And it was an older black lady. She had two grandsons who were the same age as me. And they went to school with me. So we used to walk to the bus stops together and we would walk home together. So when I saw like, oh, I'm just gonna go over there, it was like dope. You get to go play with them for a while. We both like Dragon Ball Z, so it was like a win because then I could go over there and still be able to control the TV in a way that I could watch my Dragon Ball Z episode.
Right? Like who don't love some Dragon Ball Z? Like in general.
Yes, my nerdum runs deep. People like some people are new to the anime world, and welcome to the team. Welcome to all that's great about anime. But yeah, definitely have been into it for a very long time now. So I got there and it was just a normal day. I was playing in and out. She was a grandma. She had kids in and out. She had other kids. Of course, these are her grandkids, so she got grown kids that was over there helping her out. Her sons and like her two grandsons was there. And so I was in the house and I saw a pair of really nice glasses that was just sitting on the table. So being a 9-year old, I picked the glasses up. They were shades. I put them on and I was like showing them off to everybody. Like, look at these nice shades. And her oldest grandson or her oldest son was like, those are my shades. And I was like, oh, sorry. I just found them and was playing with them. He was like, no, you can wear them. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I kept playing with them, having fun with them for the rest of the day. The day turned to night. My mom's still not there. It's getting even later. So I'm like, maybe she's going to be back late, which means that, at a certain point, we got to start winding down and get ready for bed. So I get my siblings, my two sisters all changed and ready for bed in their pajamas. Her two grandsons, we're all in her big, like, queen size bed watching The Simpsons. This is how I know it was about 9 o'clock because once all this was back in the day when UWB was good and Moesha was coming on and the Parkers and
Right.
all of those shows was coming on. And so then once those shows went off about 9 o'clock, The Simpsons came on. And that was a little too adult. So my mom used to make me go to bed. So I'd be like, The Simpsons on. I know it's time for bed. So I'm still up, but like I'm making everybody go to bed because I'm like the oldest, of course. So then the door opens and her son comes in there. He's like, I don't know, maybe 20 something. And so then I'm like, okay. He comes and climbs in the bed with us. He's like, oh, I'm sleeping with y'all. I don't think nothing about it because it's her house and she only got so many rooms. And so I'm like, okay, and it's all of us kids in here.
And this is her son, right?
Yeah, her adult son. And this isn't their dad though. This is their uncle.
Oh.
Her two grandsons. This isn't their father. This is their uncle. And so he's in there and it's me, my two babies, my two little sisters are next to me. He's next to me, and then her two grandsons are next to him. And so it is at this point he wants to turn the TV off. Like, you need to be going to bed. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to go to bed. And then it's after this point where he's like, come scoot closer to me. I don't move. So then he pulls me closer to him. Of course, I'm 9, so I'm not that big. And it's at this point where he's touching all over my body. He's touching all on my, private parts, trying to make me open my legs, trying to force my legs open, trying to put
Where
unzipping and
is
unbuttoning my
the old
pants.
lady?
Who knows? All I know is she called him. She went looking for him. And so then he got up to go see what she wanted. So then I turned the TV back on. And then I woke up all the kids. I woke my sisters up. I woke his cousins up, or his nephews up. I woke all of them up. And I turned back on the TV. So this time when he came back in there, the TV was on and all the kids are awoke. So he just came and laid down and acted like he was going to just lay there until everybody went back to sleep. But,
How long was it before till your mom picked you up?
well, right then, there was a knock at the door, and it was my grandmother's boyfriend at the time. And he came in and was like, your grandma sent me over here to get you. And so then me, my sisters, and them, we all got dressed and we all left. And
Wow.
so it was like divine intervention. So when I got back, I don't know where my grandma was at. I don't remember much in the car drive to her house. I just remember walking into the room. My eldest cousin, Shantae, she looked at me and she knew immediately something was wrong. She grabbed me and she was like, "What's wrong?"
Wow.
So she made me tell her what happened. And then she went and told my grandma. And then my grandma told my mom. So I don't remember much after that, right? But somehow in between that time, my grandma must have got her gun, got her knife, got in her car, drove to this woman's house, kicked in her front door, and pistol whipped her in her living room.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about, Grandma.
Francis ain't playing no game.
That's what I am talking about, Grandma. See,
She was
that's
arrested.
that's the thing
Somehow she
right
was
there.
arrested. I didn't even know she was in jail. But she was arrested. She was in jail.
You
Then
didn't you
somehow,
didn't know Grandma went to jail for trying to kill a nigga for touching her granddaughter. That's
yeah, she did. They let her out. She didn't really get no charges over it, but she did get arrested. And
oh, of
then,
course, because she broke into somebody's property now. But the thing is, is that should. Oh my God! Like it's
or maybe so then I'm like, maybe it happened in a different order because it was like, I told my mom about it. So then it was like the very next day he came over to my mom's house. He
wow.
came over in the exact same outfit. So when I told her, how what he had on, what he was wearing, what he smelled like, all that stuff. So when he came over in the exact same outfit, asked him to borrow a cup of sugar or something, try to play it off like nothing was wrong. So my mom went into the kitchen to get the cup of sugar, but instead she came back with a butcher knife and she stabbed him like 2 or 3 times. But he closed the door because we live in the hood. So if you
Right.
don't know about the hood in the South, almost all the hood houses in the South have bars on the doors, have
Right.
bars on the windows. So he closed the front bar door so she couldn't get the knife all the way through on the shooks, on the stabs. It would just get through a little bit. She cut his hand open a little bit. And then he ran off and was like, "Oh, like she think I tried to touch her daughter. Oh, she crazy. She tried to stab me. She think I did something to her daughter. I do nothing to her." Da, da, da.
Look,
And
I'm glad that that's what she did. Because, like I said, guys are getting away with bullshit and it doesn't make any sense anymore. And at the same time, there are females, we do know this, there are females that are getting away with doing things to men for money. And regardless what we like to say the reasoning behind it is, it's still an assault that should not occur sexually.
Yeah, and I honestly think the only way that assault will really get will really get in control is when the people who are around them who enable them start to be held accountable too. If it's found out that you're a rapist and you doing something and me knowing about it or hearing rumors about it and never taking action on it results in me going to jail too, people gonna be more inclined to point those types of people out, call those types of people out, because I'm convinced that she knew her son was like that, which is
Correct.
why
And
she went
that's the
looking for
thing.
him.
And that's the thing because you said she started calling him, and that's what I'm thinking about. When she just started calling for him and like in general, why why would she not be paying attention from jump when this individual got in there? That's my, like I said, I we've talked about people knowing
Hmm.
who these child molesters and rapists are and not doing anything. Did after that point was it known that he is an attempted child molester?
Well, no, because we don't have a community that's set up to be accepting of that. We have a community that's built around protecting the black man no matter what. And so I wasn't,
Well,
a victim.
that
I
was
was a
where
woman
you
who,
that was there because if you was here, I can tell you now, niggas in the hood would that nigga would have been got. Like that wouldn't have happened here in Denver. Like
I
you
mean, are
knew
you
about
sure?
the.
But I was assaulted here in Denver and black men were around and watched it happen. Like, didn't come to my aid when I asked
Wait
for
a minute,
help.
wait a minute, wait a minute. You were
Yes.
sexually assaulted in Denver?
Yes. As a
When?
black woman, we've been sexually assaulted on multiple occasions,
Oh
you
my
know. And a lot of
god.
times what happens, I think I told you this, when you deal with one trauma, it opens up the floodgates for you to address all the other ones too.
This doesn't make any sense. Why? Oh my gosh. I can
And those, I mean, I've been sexually
when
assaulted.
okay, hold on. Here's my question. Where?
This was in Aurora. This was on campus at Hinckley.
So this was another student.
Yes.
So you were sexually assaulted by, you were raped by another teen.
No, I was sexually assaulted.
Okay, go ahead. No,
That just mean being, aggressively touched or inappropriate, unwanted.
right. Go ahead.
So, when I came out, when y'all came out,
This is
I
before.
was not
Okay,
considered like a victim. I was like, they were like, oh, she's lying. Oh, she's making it up. She's just trying to get him in trouble. These girls always trying to ruin the black man.
Before
Y'all,
this incident, how many incidents had happened before this one?
before when I was
Since the
9,
first one, yeah. Since the first one, how?
since I was 9, I want to say before I was maybe 20, I was sexually assaulted on 3 separate occasions that I actually accept and acknowledge as sexual assault. There's some conversation about, the gap of age between me and my son's father that we can have a conversation about if people want, but I don't see it as assault because I was actively participating and I was 18 when I got pregnant. but I did meet him when I was like 15 years old, and he was maybe 22 or something. I don't know.
At least you being honest.
So, um, but yeah, rightfully, if my dad wanted to call and press charges, he could have. If my mom wanted to, well, I was 18, so no. I waited till I was pregnant. So if they hadn't found out about us before then absolutely. But yeah, so three separate occasions, and this is why I was talking to you about teenage boys, because a lot of times the assaults be at the hand of teenage boys. There's some point in times where it's grown men. Like, I've had an instance with grown men and with teenage boys my own age. And like, people don't prepare you for the boys your own age. People tell you about the boogeyman that's out there, that be
Yeah.
careful of strangers, of cars that are following you around. But most of these men were boys before, were teenagers before too. So they didn't just become that way overnight. A lot of them have been slowly, if you do any type of research into rapists, they'll tell you that a lot of them, it starts out with a thought, and then they slowly work on it and slowly perfect it over time until they're, multiple victims over a lifetime. So no one sets women up for like the boys in your own high school. Be mindful who you walk home with from school. Be mindful of who you're alone with in the hallway. Like, they don't tell you that stuff, and no one talks about it the same way no one really addressed campus rape for a long time. It wasn't until like my generation, I think, that people really started to have that conversation about the rape and the violence that was happening to women on college campuses. So it's something that they don't talk about, which is why I mentioned the other day, like, a lot of this is the fact that young boys are coming into their own as men. They're gaining their physical strength, they're gaining their height, and they're getting their sexual urges at the same time. And no one's helping them manage all three of these things or learn discipline. We're
At
just
the
treating
same
it
time,
like
though,
it's
once
something
again,
that comes natural and everybody should just know better. But some people do need help.
where is where is the the like the mass telling? Like, I know there has to be a mass group amount of women that if not even just a mass group of women, but I don't even know how to say this. This doesn't make no sense to me. Do you understand? Like, knowing that there are guys that you just go to school with this just forcing folks to have sex. Do you know what I
Or
mean?
being overly aggressive, or just being overly sexually aggressive, grabbing girls' breasts, grabbing their butts. Guys used to, things that they used to say boys will be boys, or, oh, those are just boys playing around. Young boys running through the hallway, smacking girls on the butt, or
But
pulling
there
at
was
their
things that
bras, or
were there.
undoing their bras and stuff like that, or putting stuff down, dropping ice down their shirt. All of that was harassment that people just made okay, but for a lot of the girls it was traumatizing.
And I believe that. I don't, because see, like, when once again, I try to look at life balance. I don't just see just females. I do see males too. You know what I mean? I do see
Hmm.
what males do. I do see what females do. Um, and in general, there are those that give off the confusing information, and they do it purposefully, almost like they set other females up to say, "Oh yeah, sometimes no means yes."
That goes back to the same conversation that women are not taught to have agency over their body or over their sexual desires. You're taught that to be a good girl means to not want to have sex and to not be having sex. So to admit that you want to have sex and to be out here having it kind of makes you not a good woman, kind of makes you a hoe. It makes you a whore, a harlot, and all these other things. So what it's done is bred a generation of women who are afraid to acknowledge the fact that they too desire sex and they want to be with, they want to have sex. So they play this game of like, no, I don't want to have sex, and you have to like
So,
arouse me or some shit to get me going. And I'm
what
just
about the
saying, like,
women that do? What about the women that do consider themselves? They don't consider themselves women; as they consider themselves whores. What about those women? Like all the prostitutes on in Amsterdam have something called a cunt card,
mm-hmm,
and every 30 days they have to get their cunt card stamped. See if they were tested for HIV and any of the other diseases out there. But
mm-hmm.
they actually say in live interviews that they're not fucking ladies at all or women. They're they're whores.
Yeah, but be careful to explain to like compare the sexual experience to someone who's paying for it versus women who are just out here, living life
Right,
that
I'm just
haven't made
asking
sex
like
their career choice.
right, like once again, Samson and Delilah. Delilah knew who she was. Samson knew what he was gonna do. He went out for a night of debauchery. Everybody knew what the definition of debauchery was back in the day. I don't think people comprehend the definitions of words in America the way that we're supposed to, the same way that they comprehend diction in other places.
Well, yeah, but it's that, and it's a matter of the fact that America tends to be a little bit more religious than a lot of other places, and so especially if you
Pretend
grew up,
religious.
pretend religious for sure, but there's definitely a stranglehold on the conversation around sex. There isn't one. It's don't have it. Wait till you're married, and we know that is not going to work for everybody. But there's not even enough room for us to really have a conversation about this is what sex is. This is how you have a conversation about sex. This is how you approach your partner about the conversation for sex. There's none of that because we want to have this pretend religious nation that says that people are not having sex before they're married, and we're not teaching our children to have sex right now because they need to be waiting until they're married anyway. So
We have
until we're
sex
able
ed in
to,
high school, but they don't
they
direct
only teach
sex
you,
ed.
yeah, and it doesn't really
And
go in depth.
it's not one, it's not directed. Two, it's something that the parents are honestly supposed to be teaching. That is not an education that should be coming from government education. Period. That is something that a child should be able to go back to school and say that his parents or his mother or his father had a discussion about sex with them. I think that putting that on teachers when it comes to the education of personal controlling of self, that's a family issue. That's a home issue. So for me hearing this, like I said, I'm I think this is definitely this is definitely an issue that is started at home that people need to start looking at. And we need to start knowing who these sexual predators are in general. I know of several guys that go after females with low self esteem, period. They don't go after them to make them better. They don't go after them to build them up or anything. They go after them to succubus them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they build them up to break them down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's perfectly You ain't got to tell me. I know. I'm one of these women out here who come across those men, those kinds of guys often.
Why do you think there are so many of those men? Do you think, or not even that you think, why do you think there are so many of those men? For
It goes back.
me,
Oh, go ahead.
for me, when I hear those things, those are males that are afraid to be men, so they find a way to hide a way to be a man.
For me, it just goes back to a lack of education. Again, you got to remember that women just got their independence in somewhat in like 1975 when we could have our own bank accounts and get credit and, negotiate contracts and things like that. So before, men didn't really have to do a lot of emotional or mental or communication skills. They just had to be a man and you got a wife. So now here we are. Women are independent and women are separate from men, and men are having to figure out different ways to get women to be in relationship while not having to do the work that was required for growth. So the easiest way to do that is to get a woman who is insecure, who's going to just accept you as you are because they don't think they deserve anybody else. Like, it's very easy. And then somebody who has a higher self-esteem, they're not going to accept if you don't feel like communicating properly and you want to get, nasty or saucy at the mouth, or you just don't want to text back or show up for a couple of days. You They're just not going to accept that. And I had an ex-boyfriend tell me one time when he was talking to me, he's like, dang, like, you're confident in yourself. I was like, I am. And he was like, so when you're confident, like, that person has all kinds of options. Like, it's harder to keep them around. Because I was like, yeah, because I know that I can go out there and find someone else. Yeah, like, absolutely. I'm very much so confident in myself as a woman.
Wow. And see, that puts on a whole new narrative within itself that guys are scared of confidence.
They say that it's intimidating. Like, a lot of them be like, oh, well, why are, because women will ask, like, why are men, intimidated by successful women?
Is it
And it's really the
successful women
confidence.
or confident women? Because I see successful women demean themselves every weekend at all ages.
What do you mean, just on the weekends?
I mean, because that's the only time I see them.
Oh,
I see both sides. Like I said, I see successful men and women demean themselves all the time. I s- I can say every other week one or both sexes cries around me
hmm.
on the weekend. And and like I said, that's just because what I do on my weekends. You know what I do. So,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm around people all the time. Different types of people, different places of people, conversating with them, and just it gets deep. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it does, but I think what you're experiencing is the same thing that most successful, confident people experiences. It's not a lot of people out here really doing the work, therapy and reading the books and learning the communication and stuff like that because it costs. And like, a lot of people are really barely making ends meet, so they don't, to ask them to now afford extra money to take care of their mental and spiritual and relationship self is really hard. So, I find myself dating people who haven't done the work because, they're out here trying, but it's like, how much of it can I handle and what type of baggage do you have? So, you're trying to see if you can manage whatever baggage that they have, and then ultimately you realize you can't, and that they need to go back and do the work,
I
and
think
you'd be sad about that.
I think both sides need to realize that if one acknowledgement of not knowing is okay.
Hmm.
If both parties can acknowledge that they really don't know shit about each other, instead of saying, "Oh yeah, we know, we know, we know, we know," that'll start a conversation of, "Well, let's figure this shit out." Because everybody likes to think about how they know, right? We all know. We all know what we were raised to be and how we were raised. But Mike Tyson said something in a T-Pain interview that made me dumbfounded. That if we didn't have any of the education that man or woman has made, right? Any education of what man or woman has ever made, or all the knowledge ever created, right? Who would we be?
Mm.
Profounding fucking question, right?
Yeah, I'm like free.
I mean, of
Wouldn't be
course
burning
that, right?
down with
That would
the.
definitely be the first response. I can totally feel that response, right?
Yeah,
That
would be
is
free.
that's real talk. Um, at the same time, that deep thought, I mean, that statement within itself made me go, you know, we don't know shit, and we always go into so many situations with no experience of, and at the same time, our responses to things are only based off of fear and what we've actually factually been through. The fear part is more because when somebody says something that we haven't done, right? This is where guys lie. When when another guy gets some pussy at whatever age he gets it at, right? It's impressive to others. And that's the thing. Especially when they know who you're getting. And that that brings up the not acknowledgement or knowledge of, do these groups of males know that they're rapists?
A lot of times they don't, because like I said when we talked about this a couple of days ago, what's been so normalized amongst men, they don't know another way of having a conversation about sex and things like that and consent. This is all a brand new conversation as women have been able to push back on some of the norms. Before, it was completely normal to pressure a woman to, threaten to leave her or tell her that you don't love me then. And, if that was completely normal, now we see that as manipulation, and like, that's not cool. If you can't accept that, then just leave and, go on about your way or do whatever, but don't, manipulate this person or try to force them or make them feel bad, or, belittle them for saying no and that they're not ready. So as women have been able to say, hey, that's not cool. Another example is Revenge of the Nerds. That was a perfectly ideal movie. Nobody at all was like, you know what, this is rape. Like, you can't conceal your identity and pretend to be somebody else to get a woman to have sex with you. Like, that is manipulation. That is coercion. Like, No one thought at all when they made that movie, like, oh my God, this is rape. No, they thought it was funny. Like, oh, ha, ha, ha,
Well,
ha, ha.
now
When
in
if that
Revenge of the
happened in
Nerds,
real life,
the first one,
yeah, and if that happened in real life,
or
a
Revenge of
girl
the
would be
Nerds Part Two.
horrified.
All right, go ahead and give me the first one. And
The first one
where
where
Darth
she,
Vader,
yes,
and she
when
thought it
her and
was
her
she thought it was her
boyfriend,
boyfriend.
but it was not.
Right.
And then when it was revealed that it was the nerd, her reaction was, "Oh my God, wow, it was you." And if that was a real life situation, a girl would be horrified and she'd be pissed.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Gotcha. I just wanted to ask the question. Like I said, I'm gonna I'm gonna ask. I don't know. Like I uh
I mean, I don't know. If you went
I
down and you
mean,
was
because
sucking
there are
some guy
people.
off and then you got
No,
back
because
up and it wasn't.
there are people who have sex with costumes on.
Okay, but don't confuse somebody who shows up in a costume to intentionally have sex with some other consenting adult in a costume, and everyone's aware of the agreement, to someone who thought that she was having a kinky moment with her intimate lover.
Have you been to a sorority party?
Yes, but this is still not the context of this movie. You can't make
And
it
that's
in
one
some
of the things. Like
other
I said,
world. You can't put it in some other situation. This was a high
I
school
remember
girl
college
and her
being
high
nothing
school
but full of
boyfriend.
horny motherfuckers, both sides of the fence. You know what I
Yeah, but
mean?
this was a high school girl and they were in high school. The Revenge of the Nerds 2 was when they left and went off to college.
Revenge of the Nerds 1 was in high school. I thought that was
Yeah,
in
that was
college
at their
too
like
when
senior.
they
No, that was at
created
their
the
senior fair for the end of the year. But either way, like in reality, a woman who's an everyday average woman, that would not be okay. And if you put your own self in that situation where you're just out on a date with your own boyfriend and you go to do something with him and then it's actually not him, it's some person that you've never even been on a date with or that you've never even had that
one of
type
the
of intimate
reasons
connection with, you would feel violated.
one of the
You would be
reasons
disgusted.
one of the besides liquor just not being my thing, one of the reasons I don't drink is because I know that there are people who want to roofie me. You know what I mean? Like I people for myself, I have never thought of myself as a good-looking guy or fine or any of those things, right? I've always looked at myself as ugly because of, like I said, I grew up with someone saying, "Don't look at me, your eyes are ugly." So I always believed it, you know what I mean? Because that was the one person who's supposed to love you. So that was my raising. So I'm learning to give a damn about how I look and telling myself I'm a handsome young man or I'm a handsome man, but
Mm.
acknowledging that and saying, "Oh yeah, I look good," and da-da-da-da-da, I'm not confident in that area at all. Like I am way below self-esteem par when it comes to the way that I look for myself. However, I get approached by males all the time, especially white males. And that's what lets me know that I have the ability to be roofied. That's just me.
No, that's the reality. That's that's the truth. And like I said, like in reality, if that situation happened, like it wouldn't be a like, oh no, that would be a huge thing, and that girl would be humiliated and she would feel disgusted. And so I just think that there's a lot of stuff that was normalized. Roofing was normalized at one point in time. It was completely, it was considered to be, oh, that's what she gets if she's at a house party and some
Yeah.
guy slips something in her drink. or somebody slips something in
Yes,
your drink and they
from
take advantage of you.
2005
It's like, oh, that's what you get. You should have been at home. You shouldn't have been partying and having a good time.
from 2005 till about 2015, roofing and ecstasy was a thing. And
No, baby,
I
not from
no,
2005,
I'm not
from
saying like that. Like I'm
1970,
not
from
saying I'm saying like
1980.
I'm saying from a drug dealer's standpoint of knowing what's going on in the streets. Yeah, I that was my thing. Like I didn't sell people those type of drugs, but people would ask me if I would sell them those type of drugs, and I'm like, nah, that's not my thing. So in general, for me, I didn't see that come around Colorado like that till around 2005. And I had sold dope before I graduated high school and when I came back from college. Like, you know what I mean? I've always
Well,
hustled.
I can assure you it was
Ain't
happening
nobody ever seen
before
me broke,
that.
busted, or disgusted in any type of way, shape, form. And ain't nobody ever said, yeah, this nigga is not no, you know what I mean? But
My dad was
that
telling
was
me
a
about some of his times clubbing out here in the 90s when he first got here, and the drugs and things that he was seeing happening in the clubs up here in Denver and down in the Springs.
See, the Springs is a whole different story. That is military country. They can get shit that folks don't even grasp with like that. You might as well say Colorado Springs red. Besides cocaine, anything that falls in that line frame, they can get. That is a red village up there. Like, if the whole state of Colorado is blue, that's what Colorado Springs is. Red. So we know why it's going down like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's just, even those things were normalized. And I remember the first time it was like acknowledged and said it wasn't cool. I forget. I feel like it might have been Sublime, but it may be somebody. I would have to look it up. It was the Roofie song, and it was this rap group. They came out just dragging men who roofie girls on dates and take advantage of, or break into women's houses right after dates. And it was the first time that I had ever heard it talked about mainstream and had somebody saying like, you're a fucking pig, you're disgusting, go to jail, you should die, and all this other stuff in the song because of these men who go on dates with women
Oh, Rick
just with the
Ross,
intent
huh?
to rape them.
Rick Ross.
What about Rick Ross?
Rick Ross made a statement, has a song about roofing.
Yeah, well, he does. He does.
So many girls love Rick Ross's belly.
I do not.
I'm gonna tell you.
I ain't never listened to a
Once
single Rick
again,
Ross
this
album.
is one of the things that is crazy about working in healthcare. When you work in emergency rooms across the country, you will hear people make some of the wildest statements. And in general, that is one of the most consistent statements that I just had to ask. And these are not just women that work in healthcare; these are women that come into emergency rooms. So, like emergency room in Atlanta, Georgia, Grady Hospital, get everybody's city. That's everybody know Grady. Just when I heard the statement, "Ooh, I love me some Rick Ross belly," I was like, "For real?"
They love them
Like,
some R. Kelly too.
um, I've never had that conversation. Just in general, like everybody knows that from 1990 to 2000, all the kids from the hood was made off of R. Kelly. Let's not even play. We know that faithfully.
Hmm.
R. Kelly was
And there
considered
was all
faithful.
of them were teenage moms too. Throw that in there.
You know what I mean?
Throw that
R.
in there. That R. Kelly was making music
Jodeci
for
Jodeci came
teenage moms to
around
have sex on.
after Jodeci came around after Boys the Men came around when we was in Jodeci and Boys the Men came around when we was in high school, right? And then there was 112 and like I said, that was in high school. But when we started going into high school, there was in middle school there was my mind's telling me no. Oh
Okay,
no,
she knew she was underage.
there was what you call it in the 90s. That was the first album. Um R. Kelly and Public Announcement or Public Somebody was his group. But that was the first group and then it was just R. Kelly. So, yeah, like from 1990 to 2000, I can faithfully say that a majority of the kids from the hood was definitely made by R. Kelly, uh, New Edition, Belle Biv DeVoe.
And look, people knew that he was doing. A lot of people
Yeah,
knew and
right.
helped him.
Once again, a lot of people we know this is one of the problems that we need to fix in our community. Honestly, we do. Right? When I was growing up, we were informed of who the child molester van, right? We was raised to know these things. Who who to stay away from, who to be afraid, not even just afraid of, who to totally tell on, okay? When we found out that a gym teacher sexually molested one of the girls in elementary school, everybody told. Everybody in Montbello told everybody. You know what I mean? Like you that
But I'm gonna tell
person
you this: at my high school, there was a teacher who was sleeping with the boys, and none of the boys told. The girls were the one who told.
mm. Are we talking about a female teacher?
Yeah, she was. We
Oh
knew that
no.
she was. She was always extra flirty with all. She was always flirting with all the boys and being extra grabby with them. She was the strength coach, helping them stretch after the game and all of that. She was always hella extra nice with the boys and gentle, but whenever it came to the girls' team, she was always rough. She barely showed them any attention at all. If they hurt themselves, she wouldn't even help. She would just go get them an ice pack or something. She always had a nasty ass attitude towards us. None of us liked her either, but we was like, that's because we knew that what she was doing. Every time you went by her office, if there was a boy in there, the door was closed. Like, why you got them in your office and the door is closed and there's no window for us to see into the office? What you doing in there? So
And
then
which
finally it
school
came
was
out.
this at?
Oh, this was at Hingley. It was all over the news. And when it finally came out, it was partially because one of our math teachers, she always talked to the girls and she would sit with us and have conversations. She started asking, and we was like, yeah, we've been knowing that she was doing that. We just never said nothing. And she was like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
so y'all
She
just
made it
didn't
a
say nothing.
personal. Yeah, they just did. We girls didn't say nothing, but as soon as she got caught, we was like, yep. We pointed them in the direction of
Wow.
her
So
and of
once
the
again,
boys.
that's how that problem escalated to having multiple victims.
Yeah, but that's just cause that goes back to why teaching adults is so important because children see adults as as authority figures. So even when kids know that the adult is doing something wrong, a lot of times they won't say nothing because the adult is the authority. So it really took her kind of getting caught or the whispers making it back to the right teacher and that teacher making it their business to investigate. And then it came out they said she didn't have no relations with none of the boys in our grades or at that time, but she had a past relationship with a student, and that student was now like 21 or something, but she still was fired from the school and all kinds of. It was all over the news. It was.
Oh, I would not
But
doubt
none of the boys told. None of them told. And if she was sleeping with any of them, they still didn't tell, which is why she didn't get in trouble for dating none of those kids. She got in trouble for something they said she did like 5, 6, 7 years earlier.
that. Wow. But I want you to think about how you just explained that whole situation. Y'all girls knew and did not say a thing.
I can't hear you now. You sound far
I
away.
apologize. I said just remember how y'all said that. That was me. I was bending down. Remember how you explained that situation. Y'all ladies knew and did not say anything. I'm not saying shame on y'all because y'all were young, but we need to get back to educating on this shit's wrong. Whenever it happens, say something. If somebody doesn't acknowledge it, then tell somebody else. If somebody else doesn't acknowledge it, tell somebody else. Keep telling because that shit should not be happening. Period. From from if it's happening by a fellow student in school, tell, tell. Yell it loud. There's by not telling, you're saying that it's okay.
Absolutely. This is true. 100% true. And I want to clarify, like, because the girls, like, no one had any proof. Everybody just had suspicion because, like I said, her office door would always be closed. But girls were complaining about her just because of like who she was and how shitty she was. People was already like trying to get her fired, and parents was coming up there to the school to complain about her in general. It's just that because none of the girls are present when she's meeting with the boys, we didn't know. We just had suspicions because she was always extra friendly with certain boys on the team, extra helpful with certain dudes on the basketball team. So everybody had their suspicions about what was going on, but no one really had. Well, I know the girls didn't have any proof. Maybe the boys did. Maybe they knew who was sleeping with who
I'm
and
not saying
what
that
was
any
happening.
of it is y'all's fault. I'm just saying in general,
No, I just
right?
want to make sure that because this is a legal case, so I don't want to make anybody, be more implicated than what they actually were, or they knew more than what was said. I just want to make sure it was clear that people heard rumors, but no one was present when any type of thing was actually happened.
Right. There was no factual actuals during of you guys being there. However, assumption and speculation which
Where there's
don't
smoke,
work
there's
in
fire.
right. When assumption and speculation don't work in a court of law. So your statement could not be used in a court of law. However, knowing having the intuition that something is going wrong and being able to speak on it, this is how like law is definitely created by the devil.
You think so?
Hell yeah. Once again, it is law that allows people to get away with what they get away with. It was law that allowed man to structure a way of enslaving people and making a profit from it to where they were considered shares, right?
Right.
Law. The
Dang.
biggest deceiver.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then they turn around. This is why I pay so close attention to politics and what's happening with
Right.
the government, because they use their laws to oppress us and we don't be paying no attention. So then a new law is enacted and the police is out there harassing us and we like, man, what I do? And they like, oh, new law, you can't be out here, or
Stop and
we
frisk.
now got the right to stop and frisk you and or search you because you look suspicious.
Well, not even that. Think about it. lobbyists are sent with laws for senators, for congressmen. That's what they do. They take laws from organizations to congressmen and senators so they can lobby to get that law in place. So a lot of them laws also come from corporate America,
Absolutely.
which once again we are not a part of, because corporate America does not think about black and brown people.
But let's take it a step further, because not just corporations. This is what sets us out from the Asian and the Jewish community, because they have lobbyists to lobby for shit that they want. You
Correct.
got the Jews have lobbyists on the floor that they sponsor and they pay to push products and push different bills that benefit them and their community in a way
Correct.
that we
Because
do not.
those individuals do for their communities. Let's not play, right? When it comes to being black and our communities, we are so divided in so many different ways. There are so many Uncle Ruckuses out there at so many different levels. Like, if we could put Uncle Ruckus on a scale, right? There are so many in between the levels of 2 and 10 out there.
Yeah, but that's because different amounts of us got out of slavery at different periods of time. Some of us, our family been free forever. Some of us only been free a couple generations. And then finding out that slavery was still going all the way up until
Some of them was
1968.
Samuel Jackson and the Django's. They was the ones
hmm
doing. That's what I'm saying. That's who Ruckus is,
But
right?
that's thrown out of trauma. You don't
Right.
get to
And
be
that's what I'm
Uncle Ruckus
saying.
without getting your
When
ass
you
whooped.
were raised up to believe that black and brown is down
hmm
and white is right and up. And that's what happened.
I mean,
Like,
honest,
these
white Jesus
people,
got something to do with it too.
say that again.
No, if you still, I said white Jesus got something to do with that too. If you still close your eyes and when you go to pray, you see a white Jesus, baby, you are falling behind, because as long as your vision of God is connected to white people, you will always see them as close to God. And then you'll be out here
You know
shucking and jiving for
that
their
one white
approval.
lady that tells people about their whiteness?
You talking about
The professor.
yes, I know who you talking about. I can't remember
Okay.
her name right now.
Did you ever see her on Oprah Winfrey the first time?
I mean, I don't know. I've seen her a couple of times, just speeches and stuff. I've seen her blue eye, brown eye experiment and some other stuff.
Yeah. And
Jane Elliott, is that who you talking about?
yes, I knew you was gonna find her name. Yes. She she fucking brilliant.
Yes, she is. And I especially like her because she's doing all of this while having a white husband and white ass kids. That means so much to me, because it's like you have
She
no
is
skin in the
such
game. You just doing it because it's the right thing to do, not
she
because
is
you're
such an
white.
ally. When I think about where our hippie allies went, she is the one. She is the ally that we have been missing.
Her and Tom, damn, what's his name? There's the white guy. His name, I forget his name, but his name is he's really, really good too. It'll come to me in a minute, because he dedicated his whole career to talking down white supremacy and disbanding the idea of whiteness, because whiteness don't exist. It just exists in a way to say we're not black, and to make all of us feel like we're all one race. when really we're a collection of different races that banner together under this idea of whiteness to, control and have mass dominance. And he talks about how indentured servers and slaves used to work together and were coming together to revolt against the wealthy 1% of this country. And so, in order to stop that from happening, they invented, whiteness and told them, like, you can't stand with those Negro people. Like, they're less than, you're white,
Right.
you're better than them, which is bullshit.
Yes. That is so true. And that people do not even think about that right there. Like
Tom, Tim Wise, his name is Tim
just
Wise.
to know just to know that you're being taught that your whiteness is special. So that you can deceive people, not so that they can be benefited from it, just so you can deceive people.
And take advantage of them, because ultimately, the 1%, the rich 1%, is taking advantage of the lower class and the uneducated white folk. And they always have been. And we've been trying to tell them this from the jump. And every single time Black people and white people are close to unionizing, are working together on some stuff, which is what happened to Martin Luther King right when he was about to join the workers union, which was a white, predominantly white strike against business
Rich man,
owners
poor
and
man speech.
factory owners.
Two Americas.
Once he was about to join that, they killed him because they knew those two people coming together, we can change this whole thing. And I think that's what's about to happen, because more and more people are leaving their jobs. More and more white people out here angry in the streets about not being able to pay or have a living wage, and evictions going up. I think that, some real changes on the horizon, people.
And it honestly is. Once again, Tupac made a statement that eventually the poor is going to figure out what the rich is doing, and they're going to stop begging the rich for food, and they're just going to kick in the doors and take it from them.
Eat the rich.
Correct. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think that was the interview he did on Donald Trump, too.
Correct. Everybody want to be like Donald Trump. Everybody want to be like Trump. Gimme, 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 gimme. Yes, that is the exact. That is the exact. With that being said, though, we are going to close out with what do you have to close us out with, if you do have anything?
Um, I just want to say to everybody, love each other as your own. A lot of times, this conversation around sexual assault and things, a lot of times these people are able to go on and do these things because we look at each other as somebody else's problem. Oh, that's somebody else's daughter. That's somebody else's son. That's not my son. That's not my daughter. But we really have to get back to looking at everybody as our own and keeping everybody safe as our own.
I totally agree. We as people have to hold ourselves accountable. For me, myself, I am saying this for all of those that need the information or want to look for a knowledgeable site. Um, for information when it comes to sexual assault, NSRVC. I mean, excuse me, NSVRC. Yeah, I said that right. .org. That is not a paid for website. That's what .org means. It is a donated website where people actually go looking for this information so that they can present it in the manners that it needs to be presented so people know that there is a danger in society. Sexual assault.
Yes. And if you are interested in knowing anything about, maybe Black women and, what it looks like for us, go to the National Center on Violence Against Women in the Black Community.org. That's the name of the actual organization, but it's, UJIMACcommunity.org, which also, again, notates that it's not a paid for website. There's no profits coming for this. This is all just information about sexual assault and violence against Black women.
Please, everybody, we need we need to start working on specific issues in our community that we know we can deal with. So many people are taking up politics and all of that, and that's fine and gravy. But we need fathers, we need grandfathers, we need mothers, we need grandmothers, we need aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, everyone to play their role and do their responsibility as family. Because this shit don't make no sense anymore. Okay? Sexual assault in this time frame does not make any sense anymore. That means that there is a level of ignorance sexually
Mm-hmm.
that is profound. On that note, once again, where can they find you at, Queen?
Well, you guys know you can find me here every Wednesday and Sunday at 5. And you can also find me on my Instagram at The Mortgage Queen and on Facebook, Talisa F. Hawkins, or on YouTube at Talk with Queen Tia.
And you can always find your boy Chris Diggins, Chris Lucas Diggins at Chris Lucas Diggins anywhere online. And you can find the show, Black Conscious Convo BCC 2020 or BCC. Yeah, BCC 2020 is everywhere. So that's what we are. Or BCCEN or BlackCCENT.com. Let me change that. BlackCCENT.com. That's the website. Check us out. Follow us, like us, join the conversation for your own peace of mind. That's what we are offering, helping you help yourself, because you are that important. Remember, conversation rules the nation, action speaks louder than words. Have a great evening.
Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream or drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. You lost your best friend, shit's got you stressing. Wanna find a fool who did it, cock back your weapon. Don't wanna look to the church for confessions. If you kill them, you can end up in correction. Some look for the needles and drugs for injection. When I lost Caesar, I was ready for the action. This shit hurts hard, and it really did. But you gotta let the pain go, and that's how you live. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel the shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my stories. Falling in love may be easy to some of y'all, but some people in this world have downfalls. Been in love so many times, their heart got lockjaw. Mention the word love, pause, then the tears start to crawl down their face fast like Niagara Falls. Feeling you had them messed up like prank calls. Why it gotta be so damn hard trying to find the right one? Set your standards high and get this like an M. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. Phone bill is due, rent and cars too. By the end of the month and you got no food. Mom at home first and dad can't go to work. That's only if you had a dad. Imagine that hurt. 4 kids in one house, one mom and no spouse. Not enough room and family sleep on the couch. You don't know why and you looking for an answer. Just found out grandpa got cancer. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pains of life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away, what you thinking about? All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain in life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story.